Can you stop time by stopping your watch? If your answer to the question is no, then stabilize in that no. Have you understood what your mind owes its existence to? Whose quality it is? There is fire, smoke, and fragrance in a burning incense stick. The perfume lasts as long as the incense burns. The case of our body is also similar. Body is a stick in which there is heat. Prana is smoke, and consciousness is the perfume. Prana is the creation of beat or pulsation, and the food sattva. You are very much troubled by your I, and you find it difficult to go beyond it. You have limits beyond which you cannot go. Names are given for better understanding and communication. If you love your donkey and name it Rama, can it achieve his greatness? For all people, it will be just a donkey. If you are not your body, what will be your needs and desires? Because you think you are a body, a man needs a wife and a woman needs a husband. The body remains for a certain duration. Hence, it is a state of time and not mind. The cosmic spirit and cosmic substance are responsible for our consciousness. Hence, both are one. Did you have to do any spiritual practices in order to grow up and recognize your mother or your own body? Did you get this physical form as a result of your penance? If not, why do anything now? Do you have any permanent form which will prosper and remain intact with God's blessings? If you did nothing to appear in this body, what can you do now to disappear? It means the appearance of consciousness was spontaneous, and so will be its disappearance. Be comfortable in the state you are, without struggling for any change. Only find how your being appeared from the non-being. If the watch bought by you stops, will anyone cry for its death? Can you stop time by stopping your watch? Similarly, will the death of a child lead to the end of time itself? That which is responsible for our waking state is always with you. Then why do you wander from place to place? Do you need to go anywhere to know that you exist? Hence, be aware of your consciousness wherever you are. Bhagavan Krishna says, I am all that appears on waking. In the absence of this consciousness, there is nothing. There are infinite universes in just a speck of consciousness. But this speck is not eternal, hence untrue. Are you trying to get the knowledge of Brahman without leaving your body identity? All your arguments and quarrels are based on your hearsay knowledge. A speck of consciousness occupies a vast space, and only its negation can end your world. Surrendering to the Guru means being at his feet and thinking about nothing else. This also means stabilization at his feet. Then there is dissolution of the body identity, and one is no more an individual soul. The awareness of our consciousness is meditation, and this also means feet of the Guru or its movement. You must be fully aware of this. While meditating on the Guru's form, one has his vision, and that happens to be the holy feet of the Guru. We have already said earlier that your consciousness itself is the feet of the Guru. The waking state is the light of the self-luminous Atma. The light appears and disappears, but does it have birth and death? In order to know the cause of your existence, must you not exist first? Hence, before asking that question, meditate on your consciousness. Your existence always precedes the appearance of your world. Are you not aware that your consciousness is continuously taking pictures of the sensations of touch, hearing, form, taste, and smell? It is all a spontaneous happening. As you do not know about how things happen, you wrongly assume yourself to be the doer. Never make that mistake. A jnani is never born. The world is full of knowledge, which goes on changing with time. Is there any honesty in it? Similarly, all the experiences of the world are dishonest. What you believe yourself to be also changes continuously. There is no honesty in the observed. In due course, you will come to know the dishonesty of even that due to which there is observation. A sage is never born. God cannot appear on his own, as he is a creation of the devotee. He is a part of devotee's consciousness, and what does he have with him in order to be able to incarnate? These things are not spoken about so openly by others. Listen to this carefully, and stick to your consciousness, which takes care and sustains the whole world. Don't get lost in mental modifications which are indicated by your endless wanderings. You love your possessions very much, but if loss of your possessions helps to develop your interest in God, you should be able to consider yourself more fortunate than by becoming rich. That is real trust. The same trust will empower you to face bad times and unhappiness with ease. J. Krishnamurti doesn't recommend following gurus. Why? He knows what is meant by a guru and what his function is. Hence he doesn't recommend him. The consciousness in the body is the guru. As we cannot worship ourselves, we have to worship consciousness as the guru. We cannot say that you love your consciousness as it is itself love. You know your existence first, without any effort, and you know the existence of the world thereafter. You trust your consciousness, and all your worldly activities are motivated by self-love only. Our activities happen due to rajas quality, which signifies restlessness. The attitude of being the doer and possessing so many things signifies the tamas quality. The soul of the universe operates as a power of Maya. As you do not know your consciousness, which is Guru Deva, you love your body as yourself. The body is protected by the vital breath, which is capable of doing anything for the sake of self-love. Your self-love is responsible for the light in which you see the world. You will have to go beyond a certain stage in order to be able to worship yourself. Hence, worship your guru. Presently you need to have faith in Paramatma, which is to realize his non-duality with the faith you are. Your regular habit makes everything possible. You can even remain without a single word. When you see anything, a picture of it is taken instantly. Is it your action? It happens spontaneously. This is the skill of Maya of Hari. Your sense of being is only a witness. Worship it as the guru, so that self-knowledge will manifest like the blooming of a bud. But your main problem is your mind, which controls you and doesn't allow you to worship. Try again and again, so that you can remain without a word. That itself is sahaja samadhi, while you are fully awake. Only a true lover of self will be able to appreciate this talk. Meditation on self doesn't need any other pondering. By habit, that also becomes natural and effortless. Your true form is Sarvatma, which is present in all living beings. All others are your own eminent personages. Your beingness is the source of Sarvatma of the whole world. The dream waking gives rise to the dream space in which you appear in your dream form. All this happens unknowingly. As per the Guru's command, worship the consciousness which is listening to the Guru. Surrender to non-duality. The main reason for fear. There are various methods of remembering God or chanting His name. The spiritually inclined practice those as per the instructions received. Our own experience suggests chanting mantra by connecting it to the breath. This method calms the mind, and it is simpler to go into samadhi. The real samadhi leads to contentment, which never gets disturbed under any circumstances. It is said that Arjuna's samadhi was undisturbed even during battle. The contentment after self-knowledge is a true samadhi. All other types of samadhis are only related to mind, and they are altered modes of being. After knowing fully that we are neither the body, nor the mind, nor prana, we have to remain quiet. Then you will remain unconcerned and unaffected by the activities of the body. Think about who was born and became old. All disorders accompany the body and finally go with it. But you are separate from it. The bodiless can avoid these disorders, but not if you are a man or a woman. Atma remains untouched by any problems. The true spirituality is above castes and creeds. Its followers recognize the true and remain aloof. All your trouble and pain are due to consciousness and not due to the world. The knowledge that is expounded here is in reality ignorance. All your worldly actions are only to pass time somehow, but the real contentment is only after becoming free of all memories. For Jnani, this world is untrue, or it has no existence. Hence there is no question of doing or not doing anything to improve the world. As a Jnani is not his body, there is no question about his family and children. We also know that we are not the body-mind, but it is only our hearsay knowledge. We must know what these body and mind are due to, and whose qualities are they. All our existence is so temporary that in reality, nothing has ever happened. I can tell you to do anything you like, but it will not be feasible for you. Hence, I tell you to give up the idea of being the doer and then do as you like. For cutting a diamond, you need a diamond. The same applies to consciousness, as nothing else can help. In the absence of your consciousness, you had no fear. That which is at the root of fear, hold that firmly. You are afraid of the world which appears in your consciousness. Hence, fear is mainly due to the duality between consciousness and the world. You can remove the duality by holding consciousness firmly. Thereafter, who will be afraid and of what? You may not like my talk and prefer to remain at a distance. But if you are ready to give me a try and do as you are told, your experiences will prove that you were right. You will realize that all your wanderings were useless. What can really free you is only your own consciousness, which is so near and dear to you. It will free you of all your needs, including your need to meet Ishwara. Your real freedom is from your consciousness, because of which you come to know you are. Then you will be free of the primary illusion, which is not eternal, but only a passing phase. Only the knowledge of time and its power can wipe out your fear permanently. Embrace that due to which you come to know your pain. That is the way to be free of pain. All your problems are due to duality, which can be finished by becoming one with consciousness. Sage Jnaneshwar has said that if water tries to drown a dal made of salt, it gets dissolved on its own. Then whom can that water drown? There is no fear in non-duality. All activities happen due to the three qualities, and there is no need of an individual as a doer. He can help only by disappearing. As the doer is imaginary, all doing is false, and it is only a happening. You come to know what happens spontaneously. If meditation is not possible, you can achieve the same results by viveka, or discrimination, between the real and the unreal. Where medical practitioners fail, the creator of the body succeeds. Without seeking help of any name and form, be one with your consciousness. You see forms and colors where there is nothing. Remember that to be the quality of your consciousness. Your self is beyond all imagination. You cannot even think about it. The only solution is to trust consciousness as the Guru. You can propitiate him by your worship. Assert, again and again, I am pure Brahman. Never forget these words of the Guru. There is no fullness like that of self-knowledge, and no incompleteness like that by the body identity. The Guru's words are, I am formless pure consciousness. A true devotee should develop conviction about the self without criticizing anybody. To realize self is to be complete. Self is beyond mind. We cannot think about self. The only approach to it is through your consciousness, which should be accepted as the Guru. Worship it, and it will be pleased with you. Assert that you are pure Brahman. Stick to these words of your Guru. Self-knowledge is complete and your body identity is incomplete. I am formless, sinless, pure consciousness. These are words of the Guru. A true disciple should not worry about what others think. His attention should be on the self, and he should be firmly anchored there. Life is meaningless, purposeless. How can the thoughts come in your absence? Hence you must be present prior to their arrival. Remembering these words helps in meditation. That itself is to be in the greatest meditation. In due course, you will realize that the waking state, which began in the morning, does all the activities and goes to sleep at night. At the end, it will go to sleep permanently. How can you be your waking state? Our talk is unworldly and of no use to the people who identify with their bodies. Does this life have any meaning? It is meaningless and without any purpose. Our urination is more purposeful. Even if you say that the purpose of life is to know the self, no acquired knowledge remains. After the departure of prana, your I am will not remain. It is Brahman which is ever existing, and due to your body, it has become conscious of its existence. Where are you or any individual in it. Your I amness is the cause of all your pain, and the essence of spirituality is to know its non-existence. All think about others and not about the self. Many go in search of God, which alone is boundless, but none thinks about a speck of consciousness, which is a seed of the whole world. Your consciousness is called Chidakash. The world that you see is not outside your consciousness, but in it. The world appears in the aperture of Brahman in the crown of your head. In sleep, samadhi, or death, there is only forgetting your existence. This loss of memory is very natural to all human beings. Hence, there is no reason for our fear of death, which is only a permanent forgetting of our existence. The waking as well as the dream world originate in Brahmarandra, which is the name of the aperture of Brahman, that which is prior to consciousness, and also its cause, is the eternal and true. Don't hurt or disturb anybody by your comments or criticism. Allow people to feel as great as they wish. What can you expect from that which is false? There is no reason for disturbing it. A sage has no name. It is due to Maya that one believes the body to be one's form. With that identity, one acts in the world. The word Maya means that which has no being. The body and its actions are time-bound. There was a time when body-mind was absent, and they are present now. Hence they cannot remain permanently. Your body identity is your bondage. In reality, there is pure consciousness in the body, and the same is self-luminous and always free. Prior to saying I am, there is that which is formless, changeless, and without a tinge. The effect of Maya begins with the arrival of our beingness. The consciousness is all-pervading, in which the world is seen. Atma sees everything but is itself invisible. Atma is not the mind, but its knower. When you develop the conviction that you are not the body, you will see the world as a creation of your vision. The idea of being is Maya, which appeared in the state which was free of ideation. Your needs begin with the appearance of your beingness. If you experience unhappiness, the need for happiness will begin. What will happen if there is no unhappiness at all? With your conviction of not being the body, there will be no experience of pain and pleasure. Paramatman is all-pervading and full without any needs. You become really silent only in the no-mind state. Can you attain it just by stopping your speech? You must have full confidence within that there is no Bhagavan other than your consciousness. Then your eternal behavior will not matter. The true knowledge of consciousness removes all your bondage. The one who says, I am not the body, mind, and intellect, cannot be bound by them. This is always the case. What is the content of your speech other than what your mind says? Is not the knower of prana different from it? When the vital breath leaves the body, there is an entity that knows it, doesn't it? The knower of prana enjoys the bliss of the final separation of prana from the body. All the known vanishes sooner or later, but the knower is ever present, without any coming or going. The desires and cravings reside in the air which dwells in space. Wherein does the space reside? One who knows all this also knows what birth means. One who clears the concept of birth becomes free of all concepts. Are you really born, or is it the birth of desires? A jnani knows this. The difference between an individual soul and a jnani is this. The individual imagines that he will suffer in the future for his actions. A sage is neither a man nor a woman and has no name, being without a form. He is not even a neuter. The knower of all this is the liberated. The concepts of birth and death are taught to satisfy or pacify the ignorant. Does the mind have any form? But the ignorant imagines it to be with form. The desire or craving is the quality of air that can lead to the birth of air only, and not yours. This needs viveka. From space appears prana, and mind from prana. Then how can the thoughts of mind be your thoughts? After knowing the fact that I am not food material, I cannot be that which can be seen. Everything is contained in air. Any form imagined by you will manifest in air. The primary illusion is of the nature of air. I say, that which you call knowledge is really ignorance. In deep sleep there is no mind but only prana. When mind appears, you see a certain scene which you call as a dream. Mind is never new. It's always constituted of old impressions. Yet you throttle yourself by giving undue importance to the utterances of the mind, and the jnani gives them no importance. The source of all must be known. Give up the idle talk and chant Jaya Guru. That will propitiate the self, and you will receive something beyond your expectations. The liberated is formless. Our consciousness gets bound as long as it is identified with body, mind, or prana. There is freedom only after the consciousness knows itself. Who says that I am not the body, not the mind, and not even the prana? That one is free of body, mind, and prana. It never gets bound. When you write anything, what is it other than what your mind says? Does prana know itself? There must exist some knower who witnesses the exit of prana at death. And the jnani knows prana, and for him the departure of prana is full of bliss. Whatever is known always vanishes after a certain time, but not its knower, who remains forever. He has no coming and going or birth and death. Our desires and cravings reside in air, and space is the resting place for air. And where does space reside? One who sees it or knows it, he also knows what birth means. One who loses the concept of birth is unaffected by any problems. Is birth yours or of desires? A jnani knows all this. The same also applies to others. But they suffer because of their concepts and beliefs. As a jnani is not his body, he is neither a man nor a woman, not even a neuter. The knower of all this is free, and he cannot be restricted to a limited form. In order to console or pacify the ignorant, they are told about birth and rebirth. Whatever your mind says, does it have form? But that is what the ignorant think. Even desires apply to air and not to you. If desires lead to birth, it must be the birth of air and cannot be your birth. This demands viveka, or true discrimination. From space there is prana, and from prana there is mind. But you make the mistake of claiming the utterings of the mind as your own. as my true nature is immaterial, or which cannot have a physical form, it is obvious that I cannot see. Everything is contained in air, including our imaginations. The form of primary illusion is like air. As all is nothing but illusion, all this talk that is going on here is ignorance, and not knowledge as you think. In deep sleep there is no mind, but only prana. When mind rises, various scenes appear which you call as a dream. In mind, there is nothing new. It can project only the old which has been seen and heard. You give undue importance to mind and suffer. Jnani is untouched by all that. Now, what is to be known is the ultimate knower. Leave aside all gossip and chant Jaya Guru, Jaya Guru. This mantra pleases the Guru, and you can gain beyond your expectations. Knowledge is the parent of ignorance. The vital breath and self-love need regular supply of food, which sustains the flame of life, whose light is consciousness. As long as there is adequate supply of water, food, and oxygen, you continue to know your existence. The absence of even one of these will disturb everything. In meditation, you see a dot of sattva, which indicates washing of all sins. This is a sign of your closeness to self-knowledge. Only the knower of self qualifies to be a guru, and not those who are full of other kinds of knowledge. Due to your mind, you become conscious of your body, which has no attraction to Atma. The impure sattva results in your identification with body. With your purity, the conceit vanishes. The self shines when the body is forgotten. When you are not the body, there is liberation. The body made of sattva is not our form. Our consciousness is the light of sattva, which cannot be described fully by words. In meditation, when the self-consciousness is no more, what remains is the truth. The foundation of all is ignorance, from which rises knowledge and Ishwara. Your own consciousness has appeared from ignorance. When it is said that a jnani is gone and has left his body, what does it mean? It means that he realized that he could not be ignorance that had taken the guise of knowledge. One finally knows that knowledge is nothing but ignorance, and such a one is called a siddha. Due to Maya, even illusion was termed Ishwara. In this world, there is not even an iota of truth. The real meaning of the Hindu practice of Sandhya is to point out where the knowing begins from the eternal non-knowing state. It is knowledge of their junction. There are many who practice yoga, which means union. But what is this union of? It is the meeting of knowledge and ignorance. When knowledge itself is recognized as ignorance, the ultimate knowledge is all is ignorance. Time always accompanies consciousness, and there is no divorce between the two. In the absence of your consciousness, what is morning to you? What was a root in the womb which was responsible for the birth of a child? That root is consciousness in dormant form. Can that be you? Whatever is seen, heard, etc., spontaneous photography of that happens in consciousness. Are you that power which is responsible? We don't do anything, and also no other doer exists. If you say you don't own anything, then Do you at least own yourself? Knowledge is the parent of ignorance, and ignorance is the parent of knowledge. A recorded tape reproduces itself exactly the same way every time. Can it be intelligent? All the impressions on your consciousness since childhood are talking now. What is your knowledge? That tape and your consciousness are alike. Your sense of being is your main disorder that gives rise to thoughts, and activities happen. The time, Brahman, and Maya are all one and the same. Para-Brahman is not consciousness or jnana, but beyond it. That is vijnana. It is pure and complete in all respects. The consciousness is seedless or without a birth. How to recognize its incompleteness? Your hunger, thirst, and needs are an indication. As long as there is Maya in the form of your consciousness, all your efforts for fun will go on. There is not an iota of truth in this world. Words can describe the sense objects, but consciousness is beyond, as it can be objectless. When consciousness loses its being, what remains is the truth. Consciousness and even Ishwara originate from ignorance. Ignorance is at the root of all existence. The same is in you as your consciousness. What does it mean when we say that a jnani drops his body? It means he recognized ignorance and remained apart from it. One who knows that it is ignorance which has posed as knowledge, and at the bottom it is all ignorance, such a person is called a siddha. In other words, one who has achieved the ultimate. It is due to Maya that the illusion was termed as Ishwara. Maya means illusion. There is not an iota of truth in this world. The ritual of Sandhya practiced by Brahmins indicates knowledge of the junction of knowledge and ignorance. There are many yogis in the world, but what is yoga? It is the union of knowledge and ignorance. Finally, the sum total of all is ignorance. The true recognition is to recognize the true nature of knowledge as ignorance. Time begins with consciousness and also ends with it. If you are not conscious, how can you know whether it is morning or evening? What is at the root of the birth of a child? Can you be that? That root is a preparation for the beginning of consciousness. All the five sense experiences can be remembered as if they are photographed. Is it your action? That happens spontaneously. You may say that you don't own anything, but do you even own yourself? Knowledge is the parent of ignorance, and ignorance of knowledge. A pre-recorded tape replays what is recorded. Is it intelligent? The impressions on your consciousness since childhood are now talking. What do you know and do? That tape and your consciousness are alike. To imagine a separate existence as an individual is the main disorder. That is at the root of all our thoughts, resulting in actions. Time, Maya, and Brahman are one. In Para-Brahman there is no consciousness. It is beyond, pure and complete. Our consciousness is seedless and without birth. How to recognize our incompleteness? Our hunger for things and other unnecessary needs indicate it. As long as we have company of Maya in the form of our consciousness, we will have to struggle for entertainment and fun. Bodiless cannot die. In reality, the individual soul is only consciousness, but the trouble is due to the identification with the body. How can one be the food that one eats? One cannot be the mind either, which is just thoughts. Due to body identification, you appear to descend into disgrace. The oneness of body and consciousness is due to Maya, which is unreal. In order to get rid of your fear and worry, you must know your true nature. The body is of a human being in which there is prana and consciousness. Atma has no body, and it is not a human being. The Guru is not an individual, but the all-pervading manifested consciousness. You should recognize your true nature as the formless consciousness and act in the world accordingly. Devotion to the Guru liberates, which means one sees oneself as already free. A good conduct is to live as the formless consciousness. The mind cannot realize the self as it vanishes in meditation. The seen has form and color, but the seer is without these qualities. You don't possess anything that you can be proud of. In reality, you are unconcerned with all that. Even your memory is not always in your control, as it fades away when you get old. This is due to weakening of the food bodhisattva, which gives rise to consciousness. You must know what you were prior to hearing anything. All disorders are due to changes in the qualities of the bodhisattva. Remember that quality of the food controls the thought flow or mind. Your main attraction is your consciousness, and all your activities are to sustain it, making it tolerable. One who has the conviction of being Atma can easily face the problems and pains of this world. What do the sages know? They know what is eternal and what is ephemeral. By viveka they accept only the eternal. The same discrimination, when applied to the mind and concepts, helps to get knowledge of the gross and subtle bodies. The advanced seekers see the relation between sattva and our sense of being and stabilize as the self. The consumed and digested food takes the form of the gross body. The jnanis know that the sattva of the food juices leads to our sense of being. What is needed for performing viveka? The answer is our consciousness, which is available to us for a certain duration. One who applies viveka to investigate time cannot be a part of time. Such a one is a knower of time and not its victim. A jnani is a knower of all that he knows. The known is seen as separate from the knower. As long as death is real for you, your bondage is present. In the beginning, a seeker should slowly form the habit of being in the bodiless state. Till then, there is no scope for applying any viveka. What can blot the bodiless? The body identity invites pain even during good times. For the bodiless, there is bliss even in adverse conditions. If a man is told that he will deliver a baby shortly, he will remain unaffected, as this cannot happen. In the same way, the bodiless is not worried about death. Brahman, which is boundless and ever-present, has no coming and going. But consciousness, which is an expression of Brahman, has appearance and disappearance. The jnanis have known what consciousness is and how it appears. A jnani needs a body to become visible, but he is not confined to the body and is everywhere. you must apply viveka as long as prana is available in the body. The appearance of the body along with prana is called birth, and their separation as death. A true knower never identifies with the known, but remains as the knower. One must apply viveka that one's nature is neither the consciousness nor its content. A sinner is one who believes himself to be what his mind says. This belief leads to one's bondage. Brahman has no body and is beyond all caste and creeds. Just as the sun sets, this consciousness is also going to vanish. As long as it is available, be with your consciousness and not with its content. Worship it with love as God. The spirituality, or the original Sanskrit word paramartha, means the highest purpose of existence is the attainment of the final emancipation. To have conviction of being the self is real paramartha. Only the timeless can apply viveka to time. Who, what, do the jnanis know? By viveka, which means true discrimination, they know what is eternal and what is transitory. What is known by mind should be further analyzed by viveka in order to get knowledge of the gross and subtle bodies. A jnani knows the origin of our beingness from sattva, and that gives him full contentment. Our gross body is made of the food consumed and digested by us. The sattva of food juices gives us our sense of being. What is jnani's instrument for applying viveka? It is his time-bound beingness. One who can discriminate about time cannot be a part of time. Only the knower of time can exercise that viveka. Our true nature is never the known, but we are the knower. As long as you believe in death, you remain a part of beingness. A spiritual seeker should first form a habit of dropping the body form. True viveka will be possible only thereafter. When body is not our form, no stain can touch you. Your body identity makes you unhappy even in your best time, but the stainless is blissful even in the worst time. A man has no reason to get disturbed by the news of his delivering a child shortly. Similarly, the bodiless has no fear of death. Brahman, which is complete, has no birth and no death. It is ever present and immeasurable. Its manifestation has a beginning and also an end. Jnanis look into the source of the manifested, which is the unmanifested. Brahman is everywhere, in every living body, but it is never restricted to any body. Space is the same in any small or big vessel. Exercise viveka before it is too late, as prana cannot remain indefinitely. When prana associates with the body, you become conscious of your existence. By true discrimination, we come to know that we are neither the consciousness nor what is known due to consciousness. A jnani is always the knower, and never the known. One who sincerely does what the mind dictates is called a sinner or the bound. As Brahman is beyond all religions, castes, and creeds, there are no duties for it. Just as the sun sets after the day is over, your consciousness is going to set after its term is finished. You are going to lose company of your relations, actions, and their results. Apply viveka, and don't lose awareness of your consciousness. With love, worship it as God. To be spiritual is to develop conviction of being Atma. To be in Turiya state is to be Brahman. Your true nature as Paramatma is always free, your only problem being the concepts which you have accumulated since childhood. It also includes the bondage of your body identity. Hence, your actions bind you. The original concept is I am or I am awake. The other concepts of today and tomorrow, etc. The appearance of consciousness in any form is its real incarnation, and innumerable such forms appear every moment. When all your concepts turn out to be illusory, your true nature, which has no birth, becomes known. Only the ignorant believe that they are born as per their last wish. This is the result of their body identity. You recall the memories of the known worldly things, which have nothing to do with spirituality. Is there existence of an individual soul as a person? When we have no form at all, whose welfare or salvation are we trying to get? It is consciousness that was born, which is a quality of food material. Consciousness is free of all disorders, but it is the body which gives an impression of sickness. A simple meaning of Parabrahman is to be beyond all scenes and appearances. Parabrahman is true, eternal, and beyond space-time. But do you have any experience of its association? In deep sleep you are aware of space. Parabrahman is not responsible for any good or bad acts. Does time swallow anybody? It is only changing continuously. All happenings are an expression of consciousness. My true nature is always complete, and there is no becoming less or more. Parabrahman is prior to knowingness, and in it there is neither knowingness nor non-knowingness. It is a no-knowledge state. A true devotee relies only on that which is true and eternal. Just as sunlight is proof of the sun shining in the sky, all existence is proof of the existence of consciousness. There are no hopes, desires, cravings, fear, birth, and death in Parabrahman, but they appear with consciousness. All experiences come with consciousness. All hopes are for the sustenance of beingness which suddenly made its appearance. The appearance of the expanse of awareness gave rise to hopes to continue beingness. From the expanse of awareness is created the great expanse of existence. You are not fond of beingness, but of your being the body. You don't worship your consciousness, but pray to sustain it. Your love for body only increases your incompleteness. Instead, if you become one with consciousness, you are bound to attain the state of Turiya, in which the soul becomes one with Brahman. Remember that you only see your own consciousness in the form of this world, as both are one. Keep this fact in mind. The unity of Paramatma consciousness, self, and consciousness world, self, should never be forgotten. You give too much importance to your body so that its birth is considered as your birth. Under these conditions, can you dare say that the whole world is your own form? Your waking state is a quality of sattva. Our love to see dreams is the quality of rajas. Our world keeps us so busy and absorbed that we show no interest in waking up. When tired, you go into deep sleep, which is tamas quality. The waking state is difficult to sustain, and it is normally forgotten in activity or entertainment. In order to know the secret of your existence, you should befriend waking, which means spend time in meditation. Your so-called real world is the dream state of Lord Mahadeva. Consciousness. Consciousness in both the states is one and the same. One who knows the waking, dream, and sleep states, and transcends into the fourth state of Turiya, is pure Brahman.